Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be a ranking of all of the CATRICE Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Welcome to Eyeshadow Palette Month. Today we're going to be ranking some CATRICE Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes. I have all 9 of these and it's been a while since I did a ranking. I think at the time there were 6 of these out, or maybe 5, and we've just had a couple more rounds where they've come out with more. I don't know whether when they launch their fall-winter collection for the new year, whether that's going to happen like this month or in September, and whether they're going to be doing a new one of these. It would be nice to get 10, but this is what I have right now. I already updated you on the 5-in-a-box palettes, which I will be linking down below because I did that video already in the springtime. But today we're going to be talking about the 9 Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes by CATRICE and ranking them from my least favorite to my top favorite. In case you're unfamiliar with the channel, then hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this just means that I have very different makeup preferences than most people in the makeup sphere. I've been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love my eyeshadow palettes, Essences and CATRICE, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if you're here for that, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing by clicking subscribe down below. Ranked in last place is this guy. This is the Peach Origin Pro Slim palette. This is one that was released a little bit later. It wasn't the first one, but it was in like the 2nd or 3rd round, I think. And this was actually the round that made it to the US. So when a lot of US reviewers tried these, they were like, oh, this is so terrible. These are too expensive. But I have found that within the Pro Slim line, the quality is very hit and miss. So some of these are really, really good quality, whereas others just aren't quite it. And this is one that I just knew wasn't quite it the minute I tried it. This isn't very intense. The blue doesn't really do much of anything. The entire top row is incredibly light. This dusts away into nothing, and it just wasn't very successful for me. So Peach Origin was one that I didn't enjoy as much as I'd hoped, because it does look nice and light and like it's gonna be something that I might enjoy, but because of the quality, it was never my favorite. Number 8 is one that may surprise a couple of people because I did love the color story, but like the Peach Origin that was released at the same time as this one, the Lavender Breeze just doesn't have the quality that I know CATRICE can do. So this one has some really stunning, very light tones. It does go a little bit deeper, but these purples barely showed up, and you have to be very, very pale in order to make these work. Is this a really pretty color story? Yes, but my main reason for keeping these around is that I can actually do videos like this so that I still have all the palettes and let you know these weren't it. So if those are the only ones you've tried and you can still get your hands on some of these, because some of these have been discontinued, some of them are still available. I'll link you to some websites down below where you might still be able to find these, provided you are in the EU, because that's where they're going to be easiest to find if they are still around. And then actually from here on out, all of the palettes have pretty decent to really good quality. One of them that had really good quality but that I just didn't like much in terms of color story is this. And this is the Desert Romance. And this is one of the ones that came out a little bit later. You can tell because they used to have the eyeshadow shades on the side and now they no longer do that. So they've changed the packaging just a little bit. If you love your spicy warm tones, this palette is for you. This is a lovely warm toned color story, but for me, it was just a little bit too spicy, and I have shades like this in other warm tone palettes that I prefer a little bit more, so that's why this didn't quite make it for me. It had nice quality, but here I felt it got a little bit monochromatic, because I felt that, for instance, like this red or this red, it didn't really matter whether I put both on the lid. Something like this, there wasn't enough contrast in this one either, so that's why that wasn't my favorite. Next up is, I think this was the last one they did in the springtime, and it's the Blushing Ocean. And where in the Peach Origin the blue didn't show up, with this, the blue did show up, and it was a lot more successful than I had expected. This, I thought, like the Desert Romance, was gonna have very little contrast. It looked very warm toned to me, but this actually has a really nice blend of cool tones and warm tones, because all of these like pinky things do show up really nicely on my cooler undertone. I just didn't really like things like this, and like these kind of things I would never wear again. But we get some nice minty blue shades, so you can definitely make like a more full-on blue look, and it did show up. This does have a little bit more contrast with this really nice dark gray, like a grayish brown, I should say, and this dark gray here, or this, it's like a reddish brown, you could say. So it had enough contrast, it wasn't too samey, and it was really nice quality. It's just that this kind of color story, again, not necessarily my vibe, but I was able to pull some really stunning looks out of it. By the way, I will link you to any of the reviews that I've done with these. I will, of course, you've already seen me inserting the swatches here, but if you want to see looks that I did with these and what they actually look like on the eyes, then I can link you to those. One that I sadly think has been discontinued is the very warm toned one that I did really enjoy, and this is the Neon Earth, and this is, I think, one of the ones that was released really early on. It was one of the first ones, and this is a really nice neutrally warm tone brown color story. Again, a little bit samey, but that orange make things just a little bit spicy, that reddish tone next to it. It's sort of like modern Renaissance vibes, but a little bit more neutral, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't have the berries, but it has some really stunning shimmers in here. I really enjoyed the quality of this. This was the good CATRICE formula. It's just because it is a warm tone color story, it gets ranked a little bit lower. Top 4 territory then, and this is another quite recent one. This is the Hint of Mint, and here, like with the Blushing Ocean, I was actually surprised that those minty greens actually did show up. I was very scared when this launched that it was going to be like the Lavender Breeze, where those pastel-y purples didn't really do much, whereas with this, it actually worked quite well. And here again, you can just see that they've really upped the contrast, and you get some deeper shades that actually pull a little bit deeper. This has a very soft, really nice formula, and I did really enjoy this. It stayed in my makeup collection for quite some time, but at the minute, there's only 2 of these that still have made it into my everyday makeup collection, but I don't reach for these a whole lot because the color stories aren't that exciting. Like, I have things like this, and if I want to do a neutral look with a pop of green, this is not the palette I gravitate towards. I would go for something like my Huda Beauty palettes, or I can't really think of the top of my head of what I would actually be reaching for, but yeah, this kind of vibe I really enjoy, and I felt it worked really well. The pastel mint did have to be built up quite a bit for it to show up, but it showed up, and this green as well. It didn't like just disappear into nothing. These did work, but it is a more expensive offering from CATRICE, and I think I just prefer the 5 in a box over these any time of day. Time for the top 3, and my top 3 palette is one that it is currently in my active eyeshadow palette collection. This is what's in my makeup drawers, and it's the Natural Spirit, and it's very close to the Hint of Mint. I was like, I'm ahhing. I was like, is this going to be number 3? Is this going to be number 3? I don't really know. But because it's still in my makeup collection, because this is a little bit more unique, I feel, it does get to stay. It has not as much depth, though, as the Hint of Mint does. But I love this because of this little cocky number that it's got going on here. Really lovely cocky green shades. It's got some warmth, but it's not overly warm toned. It's still quite neutral, and just because of those cockies, I put it in here. But now that I'm thinking of it, if I were to like reorganize my makeup collection right now, I would probably put the Hint of Mint back into the drawer instead of this one, because I might feel that it's just a little bit more unique than this. Again, cocky green shades is something that I have a million times over in my makeup collection. I definitely don't need this particular palette in order to create this look. It's not super duper unique, but I think especially if you're a beginner in makeup and you're looking into palettes, these are really slim, nice and handy. You get a bunch of shades, and you can definitely do a lot of looks in here. But I feel that this one is, again, erring on the lighter side, and may therefore not be everyone's favorite, but I really liked it because of it. Because since I have fair skin, I don't like things to be too full on, and if it goes too deep, I don't tend to like it all that much usually. But one of the best ones, number 2, the original. This is one of the first ones they launched. It's the Next Gen Nudes. And the reason why this isn't in my makeup collection is because I just have this color story a million times over in my active makeup collection already. So I don't need another rosy tone neutral palette in my makeup collection. But in terms of quality, this has been my favorite of this entire lineup. I think you can still get it if I'm not mistaken. And the reason why I say that is something like this, for instance, when I put my finger into it the first time I swatched it, I thought it was a cream. It felt like a ColourPop Super Shock, but it's a powder and it's Catrice, and this entire palette is 10 euros at the drugstore. So I loved it. Here we do get something that's a little bit more contrasting, but it's not as consistent as with the hint of mint, for instance. We get some really stunning rose golds, something that's a little bit more like taupey leaning, something really nice rosy pink. So you can do a lot with this, even though you don't get that many shades and it's not too overwhelming to use at all. It doesn't come with a whole lot of product. It's 12 pans, I think. Yeah, 12 pans, and you just get over 10 grams of product. So it's not the best bang for your buck ever, but who's used up an eyeshadow palette recently? I haven't, because I just have way too many, and just for the quality alone, I just wanted to put this one in the top 3 for sure, because it is that good. But finally, the most unique color story that I think this line has ever done, and it's really difficult to find this. I know, because this was limited edition, it was only around for 1 season, and then they discontinued it. However, on some of the websites that I will be linking in the description box down below, you may still be able to find this, because I have found that there are websites within the European Union that sell dead stock Catrice and Essence stuff, meaning that they keep all of the seasonal things out there, like on the website, until it physically sells out. So not because the brand has decided to no longer sell it in stores, but there are brands or websites, I should say, like Lico and Notino, and Cosmetic for Less actually does this as well, where they just keep things on their website. They keep it listed until the actual stock runs out. So I know that the last time I checked for these on Lico, this was still around, but the Neon Earth wasn't, I believe. But yeah, this is the Vintage Soul, and it's cool tones with burgundies, which till this day, I have yet to see a brand do. This is so unique in my makeup collection that if I were to just keep one of these, this is the one I would keep. These two grayish tones have a bit of a green undertone, making them super special. It does have a bit of rosy toneness in here, but it's very light, and it can be used very easily to blend out some of these purpley things. So this is a bit more purple, this is a bit more maroon, something a bit more warm toned. It just has such a good sprinkle of everything. The only thing I wished for is that perhaps in this quad, we got something that was a bit more mid-tone. So if this, for instance, was a little bit deeper, I think I would have liked it better, because it's now too close to this gray. But that's the only thing I can fault it for. So yeah, these aren't perfect palettes at all, but there are some really good quality palettes in this lineup. So if you were interested in these and you were checking these out, and you wanted to know how some of the newer releases held up to some of these older things, I still think that some of those older things are the best things they did in this line. So at this moment, I'm like, Catrice, we're ready for something new. You don't have to keep doing like a 10th Pro Slim eyeshadow palette. Like, I would like to, because then I have 10 of these, and that would be cool. But I like the fact that 2 of them have a different packaging is kind of bugging me now that I have them all lined up here. But yeah, these are decent, provided you don't buy these 2. Like, if you were to come across these 2, don't buy them, because they're not good color stories. They just don't have the payoff. The other ones do, depending on what color story fits your skin tone, what you like, what your makeup preferences are. I think these are lovely. They are soft, really blendable eyeshadows that need a bit of building up, but they do have intensity, and you will have seen in some of these that they do have quite a bit of contrast. So they've definitely improved these over time, I feel. But yeah, I think that Catrice needs to come out with something else that isn't a Pro Slim eyeshadow palette. I'm not sure how long they're going to be doing these for. I don't have insider information like that, but yeah, maybe they're going to come out with a 10th one, and maybe they stop doing it then. Who knows? But yeah, some of these, they just like bring them out. they release them and then they're around for just like 6 months to a year and then they discontinue them again. That seems to be what Catrice does a lot anyways. They should be releasing new products, I think, this month already. I've actually left a little bit of space in my August planning so that the Essence and Catrice videos can go live sometime this month. It's probably going to happen in the second half of August. It's usually second half of August, early September that those products come out. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, for now, I haven't seen any announcements yet. They'll probably come out. Usually the Germans get the information first and then you guys start telling me, Micah, I think the new Catrice stuff is coming. So I have a bit of budget set aside for September to make that purchase. And then we'll see if they do another Pro Slim eyeshadow palette. We'll see what Catrice is gonna have in store for us for sure. But yeah, these are the Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes. I hope this video was helpful for you. That this, if you were interested in these, that you know what's out there and that you perhaps also can prevent yourself from making a mishap when it comes to purchasing makeup. So thank you so very much for joining me today. This is only one video in eyeshadow palette month, so I have a lot more coming your way. So please thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make several videos every single week, so if you'd like to stay tuned for more, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!